Let's go ahead and fire it off. It should fire off and run. All right. And let's see what the wideband's going to read. Again, we have to wait till it warms up. We should definitely see some kind of change in there by changing that whole table out. So it's good to know that you can zero out that entire table. Again, I haven't personally tried that before. Normally, I'm dealing with values that are positive values. So the injector data usually is a positive value in that low pulse width adder. The ID data is a little bit different. So we do see that it leaned it out a little bit more, not a whole lot, maybe another half point air fuel. We are still going to be off from our target. So the target's 14.7. We're at 13.5. Now, notice that our short-term fuel trim's kicking in. It knows that there's a difference. It's looking at the front oxygen sensor and saying, hey, there's a problem here. We need to start to lean out the injector pulse width. Now, one thing I do want to point out that we do want to note, we have our injector pulse width. We're actually logging it here. It's showing a value of 1.4. If you're noticing and you're in this situation, specifically with a big injector, something like a 1700, 2000 cc injector, you may find that the injector pulse width kind of hits a bottom. It doesn't go any further, and you're finding that if it's still going to be lean, or it's still going to be rich, specifically rich, I should say, it's still going to be rich, you're going to be in a situation where you need to look at what the injector pulse width is at, where it's going to. It's the lowest it's bottoming out at. There is a minimum pulse width here that we discussed. Let's jump in here and take a look at this real quick. There's a minimum pulse width, and it's going to be found here, minimum pulse width. Oh, that's the stock value. We actually changed it. We changed our code down here into a different minimum pulse width, which is going to be here. This is the new minimum pulse width. We've changed this to 0.848 milliseconds. Now, ID should have specified the minimum pulse width. I think it's something like 0.3, 0.4 on this injector. I don't like to scale down the minimum pulse width that low. We could find that the minimum pulse width is blocking out the injector from getting turned down anymore. So we could go after the latency data, keep turning that down. We could go after the calibration fuel map data. We could keep turning that down, trying to lower the injector pulse width. The minimum will be the bottom it's going to go to. So if you're running a big injector and you're not able to lean things out, double check what your minimum pulse width is here. You can see that is being logged. Let's jump back in here. That's being logged at approximately 1.3 milliseconds, so we can see exactly what that's doing. And we might have to lower it, so just kind of keep that in mind. I wanted to throw that out as we're talking about this. Now, interestingly enough, we can see right now the air fuel is going right to our 14 target, and the fuel trim is pretty much spot on here. It's barely trimming, and that's exactly the behavior you want to see. Now, when we fired off the engine, it was running in the 12 and 13s for a period of time. There is a post-start enrichment that adds extra additional fuel for the first 20, 30, maybe even 60 seconds after the engine fires off and runs to improve combustion stability. Now, we can see here that after we let it run for probably about a minute, I was talking, and all of a sudden it started to lean out here a little bit. It leaned out, and that's exactly where we should be in terms of our target air fuel now. So everything looks good there. All we did was lower down the latency 10% from the ID data and then zero out that low injector pulse width table. Now again, I don't remember the last time I've actually ever zeroed that table out. I've never tried to zero it out because most all injector data is going to be a positive value there. But again, the data sheet from ID showed negative values. We can't put negative. Zeroing that out zeroes out any of the correction that was happening at low pulse width. So idle looks good right now. I don't think we need to do anything further here. So the load, looking at our load. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.